Alrighty then. Yo, what up? This is another episode of the Delete Kings podcast. I go by the name Ty, aka Delete King 850. And with me today, I got CVO and I got Talonda in the building. What's going on, guys? How y'all feeling today?
Hey, how
What's
you
the
doing?
word? How you feeling?
What's up, man? I'm feeling decent, What we gonna get into today, got y'all in the room and I was just pretty much explaining to CVO how much of a headache this business could be. And I'm in the business of, overall helping people get to the bag, right? Taking a consumer to be a business owner, right? So I do business consulting. That's what I tell people that I do. I do business funding because I can take you from scratch, from having no LLC and poor credit to strong credit and $100,000 in business funding, and that's the name of the game. So that's kind of what we wanted to get into. Is pretty much that whole process of going from scratch, like you don't have no idea what you're doing, to ultimately get into the bag like I have when it comes to business funding and high limit credit cards, all that good stuff. So wanted to break down some of the misconceptions people have when it comes to even getting into this business, right? Because you said you were interested in maybe learning how to do it, or what were you asking me earlier? Like you want to learn how to do it yourself, learn the business model, because
Pretty much pretty much the whole layout. You feel me? Like to dive deep into someone's credit report, remove all negative things on there, and get them to where they need to be, and then also the same time, teach them and to kind of talk to them about business funding and get their heads onto that level because now, okay, we're already fixing your consumer, we're making you look good now. Now, what can we do with this number? What's the next step? So I want to be able to do the first step and then push them to the next step.
All right. So basically, when it comes to doing it from scratch, like first thing I was saying, because you say you got like a couple of people like already in DMs trying to improve their situation, right? First thing I always tell everybody, right? I don't consider myself I don't promote this business as a credit repair business, right? Period. But we do credit consultations where we'll tell you what you got to do. Right, people pay me to consult, and then we review their credit. First step, number one, we're gonna send you a link to pull your credit file. This is not gonna be a hard inquiry or nothing like that, but we're sending you a link where ultimately we'll be able to both set eyes on your report, because you can have a lot of conversations with people. Oh yeah, I got this one collection, or I got this and that. I'm like, look, that sounds good, but me trying to evaluate your report over like a verbal conversation is like not the most efficient thing to do. So ultimately, we send them the link. I'm gonna put the link down in the description of this video as well. But we send them a link, and it's gonna be able to pull their credit report from either smartcredit.com/deleteking850 or IdentityIQ, right? Both of them is like they're just as good as each other. It's like Burger King versus McDonald's. Those are the top leading people in getting your consumer credit report. Now, people say, well, I have Experian, or I have Credit Karma. Well, here's the thing about them. Like, Credit Karma is just an app to promote a bunch of credit cards to you to entice you to apply for credit that you're probably not going to get approved for anyways. Like, your credit score is usually maybe 40 points below or above what it actually is, right? So it's like it's a promotional tool at the end of the day where it's not always perfect. It's not always like the real score. It's more exaggerated. That's why I like to call it, right? And you can't actually see your account numbers for whatever credit card or account you have. It's not going to show you any detailed account numbers. So how can we even fix stuff or dispute stuff without the perfect, accurate data? And it's not going to show you your Experian. We'd have to log into two different websites to really see your full report. So that's why I just send people the link to cut the story short and just like, look, here's a link. It's going to cost you $1. And one thing I've noticed even with fixing my own credit situation where I had some late payments, right? I was trying to dispute something until all I had to do was really finally pay one of the official credit monitoring websites to see what my report really looks like. And the thing that I was trying to dispute was off. It was really ironic, but the lesson that I taught me was get past the paywall to see more accurate information. right? It's usually $1 or $4.99 to get past the paywall. Because if you check in the free apps, it's most likely not the most accurate information. Period. You know, Experian.com. I mean, they'll show you some accurate information. They say they're showing you your FICO 8 score, but for the most part, they'll show you what's on your Experian report. That's Experian.com, right? But for the most part, cool. We send them the link, and then we're reviewing their file, right? With Identity IQ, is real simple, right? I should have pulled the one up on the screen, but long story short, we're looking for any other color that's not green, right? So the long story short, when you pull up Identity IQ, you scroll down, you're looking for any other color that's not green. If it's red, yellow, black and white, or it's just, you know, if it's not green, that means there's something wrong with it. Everything got to be green light. And it's really that simple. Ultimately, like when you send somebody a link, they send you the login, the password, and the last four so we can actually look at it. Just think about it like it's a green light. If everything's green, it's green to go. Good for funding, right? Even on the Credit Karma app, you want, there's 6 boxes. You want 5 green boxes at the very least, right? And usually most of it's about your credit history and payment. If you have any late payments, that's the biggest box. It's the biggest deal. It should say 100%, right? Even if it says 100% in Credit Karma, sometimes there's still discrepancies where it's not really 100%. Maybe you missed like 1 or 2 late payments or whatever, right? So first thing you're just checking for is any other color but green. It's got to go. That's how you know, hey, we got to work on this. You know what I'm saying? The banks don't like any other color but green. It's literally a green light or it's a red light or it's a no-go. Underwriting is really black and white. They're not trying to take no type of risk. Why would they? Why should they have to, right? Can you apply for stuff and still get approved, like, out of luck? Cool. Maybe you got better luck than others, but it's like step number 1 is just get all the late payments, negative stuff, collections, anything inquiries off your credit report, right? Then you're going to scroll all the way down and pretty much look for how many inquiries you have. You can have a high credit score, but it's more about the profile. Sometimes I don't even care about the damn score, right? That score just puts you in a certain category for different type of interest rates, right? Or it gets you in the club where it's definitely going to be an approval. Now it's a matter of how much we're approving you for. After you see, cool, everything could be green, but some that might be another red flag is if they're maxing out all of their credit cards. So all you're doing is checking the credit card limits, and then you're checking how much are they using. Because how much should they be using on a personal credit card? Y'all remember?
10% and lower, I say.
What would you say?
30%?
Okay, so if you want good credit, right, you're going to keep it around 30. If you want great credit, you're going to keep it around 10. If you want excellent 800 score credit, you're going to keep it under 3, right? I see a lot of people that use all these personal credit cards. They're using like 9 of their personal credit cards, and they got them all maxed out. I'm just like, even if we get all these negative items removed and deleted from their credit report, usually the last step is, okay, cool, now you got to pay down your credit balances, right? So that your score is going to shoot up. Usually that's like, either it's easy for some people or it's very difficult for some people, right? So some people, I'm not going to say it's a lost cause, but they got to know about that. They got to know that, hey, yo, we'll cross this bridge when we get there, but by the way, you're going to see a dramatic change in your credit score once you pay all these down. Sometimes that's the only problem in the first place, right? Where they just got all these maxed out credit cards, right? Because you're training your brain to really view how can we get this person approved for business funding, right? I had somebody in the high 700s, right? All her credit cards are paid down, right? And it looked good at the glance, barely any inquiries. But then we found out, okay, she got this Navy Federal card. It was $27,000. She was using like $13,000 balance, right? And she didn't get approved because it had one account, right? So I'm going to keep reminding y'all, underwriting is black and white. Like, they're super petty. Like, if somebody's ready to give you $50,000, $20,000, $30,000, like, all they're thinking is for a reason to tell you no, right? I don't know why they enjoy, getting people, oh, yeah, apply. And then they're happy to tell you no, right? They're looking for any red flags. Oh, you're just going to use our money to pay down them. You obviously owe them. Why haven't you paid them off? Because usually most consumer credit cards, right, they're charging you interest. Most of them, they're charging you like they're supposed to be paid off every 30 days type of thing. So if you just have a large balance or you maxed out, people would try to get more credit when their credit is maxed out 90%, 100%. I've seen 112% when a person is in a situation where, all right, now not only you maxed out your card, little minimum payments that you're making ain't doing nothing for you. It's still going to be maxed out, right? Any questions on what I said just so far?
No.
So it's basically they want to know your net worth overall.
It's like not your net worth, like your credit card, just who trusted you with credit and how much did they extend you, right?
Okay.
So what are your current credit limits so they can try and match that? And then they want to see what are you doing with that credit, because they want to give credit out to people that don't need it, for real, right? If they look like you don't really need the credit, that's why I say 3%. I see 1%. I'm not going to say you don't want to do 0%. I seen my score drop like 80 points when I zeroed out all of my personal credit cards. You don't want to do that. I learned that the hard way. So I'm going to just let everybody know you want to have at least one credit card with some activity in it. And then some people, they'll tell you that you want to have one bill on each credit card just so it's on auto pay so it doesn't go dormant or it doesn't like get closed for inactivity or whatever. You could do that as well. But from the moment you get a credit card, you get that card in your hand, set it on autopilot. Or even if you can get the bank on the phone and do it before the card gets in the mail, set your cards on auto pay. Did I say autopilot?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Set your cards on auto pay from the moment you get them, because your intention is to never be late on the credit card anyways, right? So why wouldn't you just set it on auto pay so you're never late? And
So now my question is that what if you do that like for someone's situation where they can't pay the payments? You know what I'm saying? Like auto pay. You know what I'm saying? Like all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't always know get the funds. So like it would suck for someone to automatically pay something if they don't have it. You feel me?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And what I tell people is like, you probably rather have an overdraft fee, or because some banks have overdraft protection, was a whole nother story. But you probably rather have an overdraft fee than a late payment on your credit. Which one is harder to fix, right? Because a lot of this credit game is about managing your money and how you manage it, right? You should always have a minimum, like every adult should have, this is a personal opinion of mine, every adult should have at least $1,000 in their checking accounts. Like each one of their checking accounts should at least have at least $1,000 or something like that. You know what I mean? So whatever they're setting on auto pay, they just monitor your funds, right? And when it comes to personal consumer debt, what you're swiping for, cool, I get it. People buy furniture and flat screens and big items. But, not to sound like Dave Ramsey or anything, but you typically don't want to swipe for nothing you couldn't pay for within that, 2-month period, with however you get paid, right? It's good to stretch out the payments, but ultimately it's good to like find opportunities where you can stretch out the payments. Certain credit cards that give you 0% on the personal side if you just decide you want to stretch out the payments, right? There are benefits for that, but why I push for everybody grabbing an LLC, right? Because you want to make those large purchases on business credit cards when you can max out your credit, right? Because if you got a whole bunch of, even if it's furniture, like if you got a whole bunch of high limits and you paying it off slowly, but it's on the personal side, it's going to slow up your business funding, period. That makes sense? So that's my personal opinion. It might not be the best advice.
So are you saying that if you have a business credit card, you max it out, as far as like you're saying you pretty much can go get, that's not going to affect you to go get more funding to max out, essentially? So like let's say you have $15,000, a certain bank gives you $15,000. You max that out on your business. That's not going to affect you from getting more business funding?
Well, would you have trouble paying it back as well?
So let's say you maxed out on your business credit cards, right? I've heard before that that's not a big deal for the most part. Like some banks, they're really more concerned with your personal credit than anything, right? they can see that you have other business credit cards when they check your business credit report. Some banks are not even checking your business credit report before they approve you for a business credit card, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's like the nature of business is just like you have a lot of activity and transactions going on. So at the end of the day, cool, got a couple maxed out business credit cards that shouldn't really slow up your business funding.
Mm-hmm.
What I've seen personally slows up the business funding is maxed out personal, because it's like, logically, what are you doing on the personal side that all your credit cards are maxed out?
100%.
It's normally flat screens and furniture. You know what I mean? It's normally purses, designer. It's like, what is on the consumer side that is so damn expensive for anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, at the end of the day, like, you can always tell a story about what you're spending and swiping for on the business side. Oh, it's a business expense. Whether you're buying designer and you call it a costume for promotional purposes, or you're buying a luxury car and you're saying it's for marketing and advertising or whatever, or 6,000 pounds or whatever. So you can always make it make sense, right? On the business side, but that's my opinion. What other question y'all had? Going from there. So we covered, yeah.
How would you deal with, like, the case you said, the girl with the credit limit was high, and you said even if she made the minimum payments, she's still gonna be in debt. What would you suggest for that situation?
That's a good question, because honestly, they're stuck in the cliche credit trap, like the whole rat race of you get a whole bunch of debt. They gave you $7,000 and then you went out and literally maxed out the whole $7,000, thinking like you'll pay it later. Now your $7,000 limit, right, is showing you have a balance of $7,800,
Right.
and then you're making the minimum payments of $250. I'm like, oh yeah, they got you, because at the end of the day, you make that $250, they're gonna charge you $250.
Yeah.
You make another $250 payment, they're charging you you ain't even touching the principal. That's like a bank's favorite customer.
That's because of the interest, right?
Because of the interest.
So now, what would you recommend someone that is at that point? You know, like, okay, they max the card out, or they spend a good amount of the card. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't fully pay it off, so they got interest on it. What would you do for that? Like, what would you recommend that person to do?
Well, right now, I've been hearing about a website called Tally, where they will give you a loan. Like, you need to start doing research on getting a loan to consolidate all the credit card debt. Because when it comes to utilization on the credit report, and it's showing like, okay, you have 5 credit cards, and out of all those credit cards combined, you have $50,000.
But this is personal or business?
Personal.
Okay, I'm talking about outside of personal. I'm talking about on the business side. Like, you maxed a business card out, and you're at interest now. Your 0 APR is up. You're at interest now.
Okay.
What do you do to step away from that?
So what I'll say is this, right? So I'm gonna finish off with the personal. If it's a situation where you're in the interest trap, you're in a trap where they got you and you're only paying interest and you can't touch the principal to even pay down your credit card, right? I would say this works on the business side as well. You need to do research on getting a loan. Now, a lot of people will research and find debt consolidation companies. Stay away from those, right? But a debt consolidation loans, I don't have the list in front of me, but there's these credit unions. There's certain companies, like I mentioned, one was Tally, right? They will actually give you a loan to pay off a bunch of your credit cards, and then you'll have one loan that you're worried about. It should be a super low interest rates, right? Because the credit card interest rates are usually anywhere from 8% to 40%, right? It's just crazy, right? But if you can find a source of capital to pay down those credit cards, especially on the personal side, you know, so you get a lower interest rate. You find another product that you can use to pay off those credit cards at a way lower interest rate, right? Now, if you have business credit cards that are maxed out, right, and now your 0% APR expired, right? Now, this is a gem. It's like, at that point, you want to research what's your next 0% credit card going to be from what other bank you're going to go to. So if your 0% expired at Chase, You're going to go over to U.S. Bank where they got you 0% for at least, they got anywhere from 12 months, 15 months, 18 months, 0%, right? And out of any other bank, like I think U.S. Bank, they've been sending these balance transfer checks, right? Let's say I even ran out of 0% on a U.S. Bank card that I've had for a while. For that same card, they will send me this balance transfer checks. It's a promotional thing. So it's not like you can call and ask the bank for it, right? You could, but you'd probably be wasting your time. But they typically just send them to you when you've had the card for a while, whether or not you're 0% expired. But on that piece of paper, they'll say, hey, if you want to use this card again and you want low interest, right, you need to do a balance transfer. At the end of the day, that check, you write that check. The funds from that check is going to come from that same credit card, but whatever you're using those funds for is going to be 0%. Mm-hmm. All right, so you'll be paying 0% on those transactions that they're ripping off that card with that check, right? So you can use a balance transfer check. This is going to cost you at least 3%. Mm-hmm. So if you got a $20,000 credit card, right, and you need $15,000, you're gonna use the balance transfer check. You write it for $15,000, right? That check you can deposit it into a checking account, right? You can deposit into a checking account where you can then use it to pay off any credit card that currently has a balance that's accumulating a lot of interest, right? So at the end of the day, that's the go-to play if you really need to pay off some high interest credit cards.
So pretty much you just take it and move into another bank.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. It's kind of like some people will say it's like robbing Peter to pay Paul, but it's just like, gotta do what you gotta do.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like these banks are giving out money.
So I mean, so it's like, right? So say if you have someone with Chase, it's maxed out. You go to U.S. Bank, you get the balance transfer, whatever. You unmax out Chase. Now essentially you can go to Chase and be like, hey, I need more money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can go to Chase. And so let's say you have one maxed out credit card with Chase, and then before you ask them for a credit line increase, which I now heard is typically a soft inquiry for the business credit line increases, right? You probably want to have less than 30% utilization because, if you're maxed out with them and you're asking for more, it'd be like, well, are you going to pay this down or what's up? Like, or you can get on the phone with the underwriting department and express like, well, when it comes to business, it doesn't affect you personally, but let's say you had a personal card, you're trying to get an increase, then you would be arguing with underwriting and saying, hey, this, like, I don't want to be maxed out, right? I'm close to my limit. I need you guys to increase the credit limit, right? So my credit score goes up and it ultimately, credit score goes up and it helps my credit profile overall, right? And then, you negotiate, you always have your story straight when you're trying to get those credit line increases. So your question was, if you're maxed out with Chase, you want to get another. Chase has like 3 big ink products for the business, Chase Ink. So they have 2 of them. It's definitely 0%, right? So when your 0% expires over on one card, then that means, okay, years pass. It means it's ready to go to the other card. It's usually either the Chase Unlimited or the Chase Cash, right? People get the preferred for the points, and I think that has an annual fee. I steer clear of that card unless I really need it. I've had all 3 cards, and recently, I've even found out you can reset that 0% on whichever card you have at Chase. You can reset it, but you probably have to have a relationship manager. You probably have to know somebody that works at Chase to do it, because it's like once that promotion is up, it's up. They're trying to trap you. Keep in mind, they're giving you this money, but they are trying to trap you and like this debt that's just soul crushing. Just like, hey, we got you. It was 0%, but now, at that month 13 comes around, it's like boom, whatever's not paid off, 29.99% interest every month, right? So that's the catch with all of this, like, don't fall into the trap, but do that balance transfer by the time it gets to that point, or just pay off the card. You know what I mean? That's why you want to get as much funding as you can. You want to get it before you need it. and just always be ready for whatever. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, I got you.
For
It
sure.
does. I have a question about that. So, because now we're talking about going from a line of credit to a loan, right?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't like ruin your reputation to the banks when they see that you switch from a line of credit to a loan, which is now you're in debt. You don't have the opportunity to have a higher credit limit versus when you have that line of credit.
So what I think you're saying, like, to clarify, you mean going from like a credit card
Yeah,
to like a loan?
a loan to this debt consolidation.
Yeah,
loan.
yeah. So there's a couple things to be clear, right? You don't want to do the debt consolidation loans with those debt consolidation companies. Those are
Right.
pure
You said
scams,
credit unions.
right?
offer
But the
or
ones that
attempt.
that you can do is you get a loan, right? You get a loan, and you that's just gonna show up as another trade line on your personal credit. And at the end of the day, cool, you can use that to wipe out all the credit card debt.
Right. Right, but
Right.
it's like it looks like debt versus line of credit. That's my question. So
It looks like
does
debt
it
versus
ruin your
credit card debt is the
reputation
worst
with the
look.
banks
The worst look on your credit profile is just a credit card debt
versus a loan?
versus a loan. Because
Okay.
think about a loan, like you got mortgage loans, auto loans. Those
Right.
balances are gonna be high. Like nobody gonna pay that off in 30 days.
Right.
So that looks way cleaner on your report, right?
Okay.
So if it's a personal loan or a secured loan, the word loan, that looks way cleaner. So that's
Okay.
not counting towards keep your utilization overall under 3%.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So
you
that's just
have-
what? That's just credit cards.
That's
Yet
just
that
plastic.
utilization, that's just plastic. So when you get
Yeah.
loans, it don't pop up as utilization. If let's say if I get a loan for $25,000, I use $25,000. It's not gonna pop up utilization.
I think it pops up like how much you've paid. Percentage.
No, not
It's
even. I'm
not
talking
gonna
like
go-
I'm saying
nope.
pop up at all
It's not gonna go. It's not gonna go towards
because it's
your,
just credit cards.
it's just credit cards.
But it'll be on your consumer report,
Right.
just showing that you were loaned this amount of money.
Exactly.
Got you. Okay,
Yeah. Exactly.
I get you.
Yeah, because if you log into Experian right now, it'll show you like
Yeah, like your car
all
loan.
your debt,
Yeah.
mortgage, car combined, credit cards combined, but it'll show your utilization. That number next to it, it's pretty much calculating the credit card usage next to it. Like specifically on like credit Experian.com, you'll see those two numbers right under your credit score, right? And one thing I did want to discuss too, right? It's like, so we went over like how to evaluate like your credit worthiness,
Mm-hmm.
or like, so like, yeah, pretty much explain it. So we wanted to discuss like explaining it and breaking it down and doing like a consultation with every client. It's pretty much as simple as we review the credit report. We look for any other color but green. If it's not all green, then there's work to do. If they got a lot of inquiry, if it is all green, but they got a lot of inquiries, we still got work to do, right? As far as the accounts, right? And then lastly, we're looking at the utilization, right? So we're looking at the score last because it's about the report that matters to the businesses or to the banks, right? If you want to look for that business funding, like you fix all those things, cool. Then you set up to get some real business funding. Now, doing this at scale, like as far as like doing it for other people in a sense where you want to learn how to fix credit and you think it's a good idea to like do it as a business, right? I can tell you want to pick your headaches, pick your problems that you want to have, right? So the reason I push for my phase 2 program is centered around business funding. The only reason I'm really work on your credit is because I want you to get approved for business funding, right? And you don't qualify, we'll get you qualified. So that's phase 1. You got to just take those steps and you got to be ready for this marathon, right? And it's funny, like, ultimately, like, I know one time you shared with me this post, right? That a lot of these people out here, they'll post like this business is just like easy and everything. Maybe I'll play this little audio. But I just thought it was funny. If it actually, so it's like
onlinejobs.ph, type in credit repair and then search.
So people think this business is simple, but it's not easy. One of those things, you know what I mean? It's simple, but it's not easy. At the end of the day, if you're trying to scale and you considering like doing this full time or doing this whatever, people think it's as simple as like, all right, cool, like to outsource it from day one, right? I done took a couple courses myself. Like everybody learns from somewhere. You pretty much end up taking a course to figure this stuff out, right? And you want to have your pricing set. There's different pricing models with the stuff. Or you was asking like how much do we charge this and that, right? There's the pricing model where I even talked about it on a previous podcast, but there's a pricing model where you charging $100 per month, 0 sign up fee, right? That's some Lexington Law business model, right? It's just you doing volume, right? I'm more focused on business funding clients, so I want to focus on those people that understand this is an investment, this is a marathon, and anybody who's selling you some overnight process where they can just wipe the stuff clean in literally 15 to 30 days or whatever, they selling dreams. You know what I'm saying? Can it be done? Yeah. Is it going to happen every single time? It's not really that ethical to promise that. You know what I mean? In a sense, right? And when you're dealing with people at scale, just imagine like, for me personally, right? Like I was personally, before I really took on this whole industry full time, like getting my late payments off, for me personally, it was like 7 months, right? Of just trial and error, just 2 late payments, right? But what I will say, I acquired the right information, right? I did acquire the right information, and then it felt like 2 weeks I got it off once I acquired the right information, right? So it's like, what answer am I going to tell people? How long does it take? Well, it depends on your situation. It depends on what's going on in your report, right? So can I say I got my student loans off in 2 weeks after I applied the right information? Cool. But there's a lot of people going on saying like, oh, here's how you can make it quick, this and that. And I'm going to play an example if it plays on the screen.
Make $50K a month while sitting on the couch. So the first thing you want to do is go to onlinejobs.ph, type in credit repair, and then search. You want to hire a virtual assistant from the Philippines because it's low cost. This virtual assistant know how to operate Credit Repair Cloud and the FTC. Once you hire a virtual assistant, you want to get Credit Repair Cloud, LetterStream, and HumbleFax. Once you get those softwares, your team will now be able to operate your credit repair business and bring you in $1,700 a day if you're marketing correct. This is how I make $50K a month. You could do it too.
Now, I ain't hating on the young boy, you know what I'm saying? I actually follow homie, but posts like, I text you right back. I was like, posts like this made me so sick because it's like an oversimplified version of this business model. And like I did say earlier, it's simple, but it's not easy. Like, I'd have had VAs from the Philippines, from Online PH, and they will finesse you. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that's for everybody, but you really gotta understand the business, take the time to really learn, and then, because if you hire somebody and you're just assuming that they just gonna have everything figured out, right? Keep in mind, on these interviews, they gonna tell you what you want to hear. Like, yeah, I fix credit. Anybody can grab results, any screenshots from anywhere. You know what I mean? From somebody else's page, right? And these VAs can finesse you, waste your time, and then you're gonna end up, you know. And what I tell you, I screenshot like, all right, go look at the comments. Hey, bro, you be on bullshit, bro. I've been hella patient, bro. Ain't nobody reached out. And I'm saying, like, when you oversimplify the business model, it's like, prior to you receiving my money, you were able to respond with no hesitation. Now you're not responding. I would appreciate it if your team refunded me. Like, here's the thing, right? I'm not here to really. That's why I said half them VAs on them sites ain't shit, and they will say whatever to get hired, right? I already tried a few of them, and I wish these niggas would stop making all these posts. Like, it's really that simple. You know what I mean? Like, it really just irritated me. Like, there's a couple posts that really irritate me from people that I'ma still keep following. I'ma still like respect, because I believe, like, I'm never gonna really hate on them in a sense. It's just like certain posts annoy the fuck out of me. Like, damn, like you really like sending people off in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, is it possible? Are they actually doing it? They probably are. You know what I'm saying? But there's a difference between making money and taking money.
100%.
You know what I mean? That's going to be a whole separate podcast topic, to be honest with you. But when you're doing it like that, because that's the whole course right there in 30 seconds. Like, this is what you do. This is what I did. those are the tools that we use. You know, LetterStream, Humble Facts, right? We do get VAs from the Philippines, you know, and then whether you train them yourself or they're already trained, that is the blueprint, to be honest with you. The thing that I'm trying to emphasize is like, can you just figure it all out in 72 hours? It's like a yes and no, but it's just like it's like if you yourself don't know what you're doing, and then you're just sort of hiring people, you know what I'm saying, and then you just taking people money and then hoping it all works out. I'm just warning anybody, like, it's gonna be a headache. You know what I'm saying? At the bare minimum, at least be able to guarantee people deletions. At the least be able to be willing to do the refunds. You know what I'm saying? Because what you're gonna end up with. Because what you're gonna end up with is just a bunch of clients that are like pissed off, unsatisfied. You know what I mean? If from day one you're not really touching the files from day one, or on day 60 or day 90, day 100, if nothing's coming off, if you're not willing to give them their bread back. What I'll say is this: what I really wanted to emphasize, if you can't guarantee a service or a product, you don't have a real service or a product, period. Like I said, there's a difference between taking money and making money. It's easier to take money from people, whether you ghost them and then you selling dreams out here. You want to be cautious of that. And then when enough people get burned, they think it's a scam. You know what I mean?
100%.
But that's why on every single call, you emphasize you cannot guarantee a specific result in a specific amount of time. One, because it's illegal to really make those promises. There's a bunch of companies on your credit report. They're all pushing buttons on their side. We are using the law, the consumer law, right? And we're putting pressure on them to comply with the consumer protection laws to clean up this stuff, right? So there's no easy fix to this stuff. It's a marathon at the end of the day. So people got to understand that, you know what I mean? And so that's all I wanted to really emphasize at the end of the day. Like, a lot of stuff is easier said than done, but at least stand by what you say your service is. You know what I mean?
No, 100%.
Like, I'm sure you dealt with situations where you paid for something and you didn't quite get what you wanted out of it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, end of the day, I wouldn't wish the situation on anybody where, like, whether the results slow up. You know what I mean? You really want to have your systems in order. So Buddy right there, he laid out the blueprint, right? But before you really take off and really do all the marketing, it's just like you really do want to like have your stuff in order where you do get some results coming in and you get them coming in like clockwork. And no matter what in this industry, stuff is going to switch up every 6 to 7 months that you're not prepared for it, and you got to re-educate yourself. Find out what's going on. You got to keep your eyes on the Facebook groups because stuff is changing. Equifax fax number could change on you. You know what I mean? A dispute method might die out. You know what I mean? You just got to be conscious of all of that stuff. You know what I mean?
100%.
But yeah, man, we're going to dive a little bit more deeper into it. That's the basics, though, how to really go about doing the consultation and getting people straight, you know, when it comes to doing the consultation, when it comes to getting started in this business of credit consultations. I'm never going to ever call myself a credit repair company. Like, it's just like a little bonus thing to get you started. Like, you're really paying for the consultation because it's not just us removing negative items from your credit report. We got to consult you on how, hey, you got to pay off these cards. All right, now we're going to send you a list to apply for these accounts, right? I got to make ebooks for all this stuff, too. I'm going to drop in a link in the description. But we're going to get you with the starter accounts, you know what I mean? Kickoff, where's Credit AI, you know, Self.Inc. or Self-Lender, you know, all those apps. Navy Federal Pledge Loan. In the top 12, you need quantity of accounts, a bunch of accounts, right? Whether they're starter accounts or secured credit cards or whatever. And then you need quality with the, you know, when you start getting that authorized user accounts. You know what I mean? You can go to 850tradelines.com, get you some authorized user accounts, right? And then you really beefing up your profile by piggybacking off the credit of other people that can add you to the card, right? So that's another thing we got available to help people build their credit, because it's not just about removing, disputing, deleting stuff. It's really training people how to use their credit, move debt to the right places so they don't look like a high risk overall. And I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. 850tradelines.com, you can get you some authorized user accounts. You can even get you business trade lines, which is going to be a whole nother episode on if you want to get approved for 50,000, why not get a 50,000 business trade line reporting on your business credit report? Get you walk into a bank, they should approve you for 50,000. Why not? It's just logic. They see you already paid off 50,000 on your business credit report. Boom. There's some shortcuts to really like get into the bag a little quicker, but it's all depending on your budget and what you want to do and how you want to go about it. But that's it for now. I think we answered a decent amount of questions. That's it for now, y'all. Tell y'all where to follow us again. Okay.
You know, CBO Films, everything, everywhere.
All right, cool. And Delete King 850.
That was
Appreciate
good
y'all
stuff.
for tuning in and making it to the end.
Yes,
Like,
sir.
subscribe, all that good stuff. Peace.